Welcome back to the channel. This is another day, and we've procrastinated this for a while actually, but this is another day where we're going to be working on the produce stand or produce wagon, whatever you want to call it. So if you didn't watch any of those first videos in the series, be sure to check that out. But this is basically where we're at so far, and I took this from an old go-kart frame that was sitting over there for how many years now, and added to it. I think it's 8 foot long, I do believe, by 2-ish, 3, something like that. But now what I kind of am faced with is this is going to be the top side, which we're going to mount. We're going to put plywood fast to this, and reason for that, this is actually the bottom of the old pan for where you would sit. You would have sat here and your feet would have been down there. Basically the reason I did that is because there's these brackets hanging down everywhere, and it's just easier than cutting all them off to just flip it over. So what I'm stuck with now is trying to figure out where I can mount the wheels and tires, and also this tongue that I removed from the old hay fluffer that we have. So I think originally what I was going to do is probably put this tongue on this side and have this be basically the front, and that side have the wheels and tires on it. But the more I'm looking at it, because this is round tube up here, back here everything's square. So what I'm thinking about doing is kind of just doing something like this and drilling down through all this, bolting it fast, and then our tongue is pretty much done, ready to go. And I could do like maybe some angles out and weld or something, but I don't really know that I would have to do that. If we do heavy enough bolts, it should hold. I don't know, because I've thought about too if I could remove these and just pull it there, but then that's really not enough. Now this is the top, so it's gonna have to be the other way. It'll obviously have to be down through the other way, and I see we have a bracket there, so I'm not sure. I gotta figure something out for that. I still have to figure out how I'm gonna mount the wheels and tires and go through all that. I don't know if I'm gonna build framing to make it sit higher. It's a work in progress. So I tried pumping these up. This one's leaking currently around the bead. I think it's just a bead issue. I probably have to clean it or something. This one's good, holds air. And I think what I've come up with is I got some long bolts, and I drilled a hole through here, and I'm gonna mount the tires. I just hope it's high enough off the ground. But I have to cut, I'm gonna use that pipe over there, and I'm gonna cut like little spacers, because obviously we can't have this tight against, otherwise the tire is gonna hit the frame like that. So we have to have it out a little bit, just enough that it's not touching the frame, and then probably just bolt it fast, or maybe have another spacer or something here, because ultimately it should turn within that. Well, I popped this down off of this side of the beam, the bead where it was leaking really bad, cleaned it up really nice and got all that dirt out of there. Pumped it up and sprayed soapy water on it again, and we're good. No leaks, unless there's something coming from the tire itself, but I don't know. I think we're good. Definitely not the most innovative thing. They move a little bit. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I should have come up with a better thing, but ultimately, as long as it kind of moves, and really the only thing for this is just so I can pull it in and out, so I don't have to have it outside 24/7. I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not super happy about it, but if it rolls and it works, I don't know. I don't really know what more, without getting crazy innovative and welding a bunch more stuff on there, and we're already so far behind with this thing, so I just need to get it done. If something happens down the road, then at that point, yeah, probably do something different. But right now, I guess I'll just roll with it. This is what I like to call repurposing. Got the tongue mounted, and if you look under here, John Deere. Repurposing for sure. It may not look the prettiest. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it turned out the way it turned out. The only thing I don't like is like the angle on the wheels and everything. It just, I don't know. Like I said, I probably could have came up with something better, but I guess if it works, it works. So now this could be the only problem because of this being like bent for whatever reason. Hooking it to the four-wheeler, I don't know how well that's gonna go. But it almost looks like, sure, it'll work. And with it being a little bit bent, it actually keeps it semi-level. So, as long as the tires hold air, at this point, I can basically put our wood on there and our frame and everything else and, you know, build it up from that point. And then we should have a produce stand in no time. So I think welding and putting everything together as far as metal work is done. So I ran into a little issue only with this side is, so I think something is rotating with the sleeve because there's so much play in here. And I think it was rotating around and it was actually, you'd pull it for a while, then you can see the skid mark there. It was locking up that tire against the frame. So I have cut copper sleeves that I'm gonna slide in these sleeves yet to tighten that up, and then we shouldn't have near the play. So we'll see what that does. Nope, didn't suit me. I'm gonna use all thread now. Yeah, without having the right size of things, this is just still crooked really bad. And I did have the spindles or whatever from the go-kart that I was gonna try and use, but then I would have had to try and weld them through, and trying to drill them through that way, it wouldn't have worked. They weren't long enough. So I don't know. It's definitely something with the spacer that it's moving back and forth so bad, which I'm not a fan of, but it's definitely further away from the frame now. I made 2-inch spacers. This one's sitting decent, but this one is just, it's such a hard angle. And it may look straight on camera, but it is not even close. It's leaning so bad. And this one kind of is too. I don't know. I just gotta, without putting an axle underneath it and doing it that way, and I'm not, obviously I'm trying to do this as cheap as possible, and you know, ultimately it's not going to get towed a lot. It's just going to be moved out to the location and then back and forth, so it's not like I'm going to be towing it miles and miles. Well, nothing caught and hung up that time, but I mean, I don't get, something's flexing super bad that it's at that hard of an angle. Now there it's straight, but all it takes, once you start pulling it, it goes really hard at an angle. My other concern is the all thread. I don't know if the all thread's going to withstand the weight on here. You know, these tires are rated for 350 pounds each. I don't think there's going to be 350 pounds on here. There's going to be a sheet of plywood and framing. It's going to have 3 walls. The whole front's going to be open with a flip down thing, I believe is what I'm going to do. And then obviously the roof. Now we are going to have a refrigerator in here for eggs and probably another shelf in here, and that's going to basically be about it. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. The only other thing I could do is maybe get different wheels that aren't as wide, that I could tuck in a little closer and they wouldn't have as much room to flex, like a wheelbarrow wheel or something like that, because a lot of those you can find heavier duty that, you know, they'll hold just as much weight. So for right now, I think I'm just gonna let it go, and we're gonna put the deck on and build it up. Plywood's fast to the bottom. A couple issues that I see because of this tire being angled. As soon as I build my wall up, that's gonna hit that, and then it won't spin. And I am having more problems with these wheels and how I have them mounted than anything so far. The other problem I see is I'm not a huge fan of just trying to, you know, for our walls and our sides, it's gonna have the whole front open. And I'm not a huge fan of, you know, just mounting the 2x up. I'd rather build it like a stud wall and have a bottom plate the whole way around. And, you know, in doing that, with having these 3/8 hex heads sticking out, I'm gonna have to, like, you know, drill holes, which really shouldn't be that hard to do, but everywhere that I have them, I'm gonna have to drill holes so they can sit up in, kind of like a countersink. Well, the back wall is finished. Pretty simple, straightforward. Just got the side walls, and we got to do something in the front here. I may put a support down towards the bottom in the center just to carry the roof load. I could have made this 4 foot tall in the back and then only used 1 sheet of plywood for basically the whole back. But the way I did it, it's gonna be 5 foot tall. So ultimately I'd probably have to use 2 sheets of plywood, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. I want it to be high enough and, you know, have enough room that I can do what I need to do, get my refrigerator and everything in here. So we're getting there from where it once was. Well, we're getting close-ish. Still obviously a lot of work to do, but this is a lot more than it was yesterday. And obviously we're behind with it, but the way it stands right now, 2 of the walls are done. And from this point, we can just frame up another wall, kind of do something with the front wall here. Put our like rafters on, like a lean-to type roof is what we're gonna do. And really from that point, then we can sheet it. We'll have to paint it too, obviously. I was looking at T111, but I gotta paint that too. So I saved a little bit of money and just bought plywood. So far the tires are holding air too, so that's definitely a plus. But that's gonna conclude today's video. We're getting close. I need to get this outside because a lot of the crops and stuff are growing pretty well. So, and we have eggs and all that to sell. So we need to get this out. Should have had it out a while ago, but 20 other projects going. So here we are behind again. As always, you guys should know that by now. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a great day. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one.